It's Talking Reds. I'm Josh Sexton, joined by the gorgeous Paul Senior today.
Throws me out that high,
I like to introduce it as my brand into all Anfield rap content.
Rob's old hello, good evening and welcome.
We won't talk about Rob, you know, got a host now, haven't we?
That's it, mate.
Yourself.
Big step up.
Yeah, we have just recorded a gutter show. I'm sure Sean will be having clips throughout this video within that. But we talked about a bit of a big signing that happened last night within that, Paul. I don't know if you've seen it. Might have missed it in the realms of social media.
No, I've not seen it.
We basically signed a new goalkeeper.
Oh yeah, tell me about
with a woman's name as well.
Oh right.
Yeah.
No.
Alisson, he's called. He's a very tall Brazilian, and he's obviously a very capable goalkeeper. Signed him for 56 million with 9 million in add-ons, and I've got it written down on my list, so I'll read it out. He's sound, isn't it? It
is sound, yeah. Obviously, I do know all about it. I'm very excited, and we've just done a gutter show for Tour Player, which you can hear how excited I am about it.
The fact of the matter is that if you pay a world record fee for a goalkeeper, you're buying the best one you think you can get. And that sort of, it just ends the argument as far as I'm concerned. We've just sat down, everyone sat down and gone, who's the best one we can get? How much does he cost? Here's all the money.
Yeah, it's almost... Well, it's funny when I've seen people debating whether it's worth paying this much for a keeper. First and foremost, I've never understood, and I've said this before, I've never understood why keepers are so much cheaper than strikers. I understand that strikers are more important, generally speaking, but if you sort of rank important positions on the pitch, goalkeepers are pretty high up there, aren't they, like at the end of the day? So I've never understood why they're so much cheaper. But yeah, I mean, especially within these walls, I'm sure we'll all be made up that we just don't have to really talk about goalkeepers anymore. Or you'd like to think we don't have to. Even if he's not that good, which I can't imagine is the case compared to what we've had in the past, we just don't have to talk about it, which in itself is priceless. Even chatting to other lads who support other clubs, I'm not sure they can properly understand what it's like to be a Liverpool supporter when it comes to the goalkeeper question. We talk about it coming into shows, doing articles, and yeah, there's even an argument about whether or not we should talk about goalkeepers. That's become a thing, and 70 million quid or whatever it is for us to never have to talk about it for the next few years is just, it's priceless, isn't it?
He's everything I've ever dreamed of, quite frankly. No, he's a very good goalkeeper. Something we've needed to sort for a long time. So I'm glad that the club have actually gone and done it with no half measures. They've got the man that the manager wanted. They've got the man that I think most of the fans wanted. You know, I think there's a lot of fans who mentioned Black, but it's that one always seemed very difficult to do. And we think we've rectified a problem position for a number of years. You know, even pre Mignolet, you know, we had Reina for a year or so. It wasn't great. But then the period where he was great, Liverpool were great, and I think it's always been an undervalued position, really, that goalkeeper, as long as the rest of the team sound, well, it's just all right, because the likes of Barcelona managed to get by with Claudio Bravo, who's come to the Premier League, been tested and shown that he's not that great, whereas Liverpool now have gone, Man City got Ederson, and look at the difference that's done for them. We've got the lad who's ahead of him in the Brazilian team, rightly or wrongly, I don't know, but I hope it is rightly. Two very good goalkeepers in the Premier League, as well as now David De Gea. But yeah, it's great. It's what we wanted. It's what we've needed for a long time. And to see the club be willing to go and break the transfer record for a goalkeeper after doing it for a centre half just 6 months ago is showing that the direction is right, and that they've a full trust in the manager. Obviously, we've had the money for Coutinho, but we're now in a position where we can go and do that through some smart business, and we elaborate that again on the gutter. Yeah,
and you mentioned Reina there, and the period he was great in this Liverpool side has obviously coincided with us having a really good spine of the team, and it feels like we're edging towards that now, doesn't it? You mentioned the purchase of Van Dijk there, obviously Fabinho and Keita coming in this summer, and Firmino at top. It feels again like we've got that sort of solid core of the side, which you need if you're going to go on to, you know, do successful things.
Absolutely, but you know, I'm hearing this about the spine, and obviously spine through the middle. We've also got Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Andy Robertson. You know, in wide positions, and I don't think Rafa ever had that luxury. And you know, we had one of the best spines in world football at the time, but it was like Albert Riera, Dirk Kuyt, and I think Dirk Kuyt's a good footballer, but he's not Mo Salah. You know, and then problematic at fullback a little bit in them days. You know, we've seen the likes of Hossamy and Kromkamps and Desainers, and even moving forward into Morenos. We're now pretty strong, and it's for the first time in my sort of lifetime where I can go, I can't see that many faults in the 11, and now we're starting to add lads who were previously all right in the 11 to the bench, and you go, this is a really strong Liverpool side.
Yeah, and it feels like a Liverpool side, and the club in particular, who sort of aren't taking shortcuts anymore. They're not looking to cut corners. They're looking to throw money at these problem positions. And you've probably seen rivals all over Twitter as well who seem to be fuming about Liverpool spending, talk of Liverpool buying the league and stuff like that.
How dare we?
Lad, if buying the league's the way to do it, if that's the way you win the league, then bring it on. To be honest, because I've seen for years, the likes of City and Chelsea winning leagues, United even spending loads of money and winning leagues. If that's the blueprint to win the league, then I want Liverpool to throw everything they can at it.
This has gone back to Blackburn winning the league with Jack Walker, a timely reminder last night. You're seeing streets named after him, and you just going to Ewood Park last night and sort of thinking back to the team that they had. They got Shearer from Southampton for big money. They got Chris Sutton. They weren't shy of spending. Then Leeds spent loads of money and improved. Manchester United always. If Liverpool's transfer record was 15, Man United's was 30. Manchester City have spent unforeseen amounts of money, but this is what it's taken to bring success. The game is not the one the purest once, where it's full of 11 academy prospects. Sometimes clubs, you see that class of 92 at United are blessed with a golden generation that is unforeseen, but Liverpool are now, it's the here and now. Liverpool are trying to catch up. Manchester City, who got 100 points last season, unprecedented. So what can he do? Just try and blood some young kids and hope for the best? Absolutely not. We've got to shrink the gap. We've got to also overtake Manchester United and Tottenham, who we finished behind last season. But I think we are the closest rivals to Manchester City now. I would say that's undoubtedly.
Bucky's second favourites as well.
Well, yeah, and that even if you think back, when's that ever the case? How far have we come in such a short amount of time? And we've done that through the right reasons. We've bought well, sold well, got pots of money. I think there'll be some net spend warriors out there who'll go, well, actually, you're not quite right there. But in my own mind, it's not like we haven't just sold a player for £145 million. We did that. We bought him for 8. No. We've got Mohamed Salah there, who we bought for £35 million, and I can guarantee you he's worth a few quid more than that. So it's good. The Liverpool model's working. The owners, I suppose, are starting to see the fruits of what they've wanted to happen. But their big thing was getting the right manager, the right plan. We've got that now, and it's every time we're linked with someone and another Premier League rivals, linked with them, our fans are now, in my opinion, too quick to go, well, Chelsea are in for Alisson. And, what? So what? We're in for him. We were in the Champions League final a few weeks ago. We're a highly competitive football club. Not just domestically, Champions League final. These footballers are all watching that going, I want a piece of that. And if you're a goalkeeper, you're going, well, we might have had a European Cup there if I was playing. Yeah,
and there's just a load of good feeling as well, isn't it? It's not even necessarily just on the pitch. It feels like off the pitch the club are getting everything right at the moment, and the sort of mood around it. You witnessed it with the Champions League run last season. It did genuinely feel like everything was just starting to click on and off the pitch.
But even things like the training ground, commercially we seem savvy now. I remember us winning the Champions League, and the club shut for days because all the staff went and you couldn't get. Then we released the Reebok Champions League winners shirt, and by the time there was enough to satisfy demand, we were out. So Liverpool have really sorted the stuff out over the last few years, and there's tons of wins. That things that you just take for granted, and obviously clubs improve every year, but we've moved forward in these last 2 or 3 years at a rate of knots, and to see obviously the new main stand, the new training ground next year, the amalgamation. It's what Brendan Rodgers wanted, what Jurgen Klopp wanted of the academy and the first team, which is prominent across the continent and whatnot. Liverpool are going in the right direction, and if you're a supporter of another club watching this, well, watch out because we're coming for you. Yeah,
and you mentioned the net spend warriors there. I'm sure they'll still have a thing or two to say, as they always do, don't they? But
Paul Senior 1 on Twitter.
You'll be getting all sorts from finally Fekir or Fedley Firmino now or something like that. But what it means for Liverpool in terms of Alisson signing, it looks like Danny Ward's heading out for $12.5 million, which is good business. But obviously it means that we've prop the net spend back up towards the positives. $12.5 million for a goalkeeper we never play.
Well, and never paid for. Yeah. So this is the other thing as well. It's another good one from the academy where Liverpool have managed to turn a very handsome profit. You know, I think Danny Ward's a good keeper, and by the looks of things, Liverpool are putting a sell-on agreement into it, so I think 20% or something's being mooted. So if Danny Ward's hinting to the keeper that I think some people think he can be, then if Leicester ever sell him, then we'll get more money for him. You know, Liverpool are savvy. There's a clear strategy when you see in a time where, you know, Arsenal, Chelsea, they're a little bit in a state of flux with new managers, no clear plan as of yet. And, you know, Manchester United, I think there's still a stylistic thing which their fans are unhappy with. Liverpool and Manchester City, they are the two, well, I suppose Tottenham to an extent, but they're not really spending. I've got a clear vision of what their club is and what the path is to them ultimately being some of the biggest sport brands in the world, you know, so this is all good.
Yeah, and what it means for Karius and Mignolet, then you'd assume that Karius will probably be Liverpool's number 2 next season, probably Kamil Grabara as the number 3, as everyone sort of expects Mignolet to leave now, and hopefully this Alisson move sort of pushes that on as well, because you know it seemed like something which has been coming for a while is that Mignolet's Liverpool career is probably over. We see him when he was dropped out for Karius last season. Once, you know, Klopp thought Karius got to his sort of stage of natural progression to the point where, you know, he's happy for him to regularly play for Liverpool. You'd think now that this is the end of Mignolet.
Yeah, he's not going to be here as third choice keeper. You know, I suppose he's got to think about his position in the Belgium squad, which is quite competitive. Obviously, he wants to try and overtake Thibaut Courtois, which is not a task I would envy if I was him. But he needs to be playing first team football. He's not the goalkeeper Liverpool want, but he's a decent enough goalkeeper. He's a Premier League level goalkeeper, or he's a top division goalkeeper. So someone out there will get him. I think Liverpool will make a profit again, by the way, because of the state of the market. But it's what Liverpool are willing to budge on price, I would say. So if Liverpool are willing to turn around to Simon Mignolet in a similar thing that we've seen with Danny Ings and said, listen, we'll take a sensible price for you, then I think he'll get a decent move. But I don't know who is desperate for a goalkeeper out there, but I think Pepe Reina's gone from Napoli, and there was talk of Mignolet in Napoli last season, so I wouldn't be surprised if that got that resurfaced.
Yeah, and I wonder what that does for the squad numbers as well. Alisson signing, I don't think he's actually been given one yet, but obviously Loris Karius Loris Karius is Liverpool's current number 1. If Mignolet moves on, you know, that'll sort of free up his number if Alisson could just slot into that. But you'd want Alisson to be number 1 really. But I do believe you've got some other squad number theories.
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of theories. Like, firstly, there's one that I've got round. Fabinho has always wore number 2. Liverpool are saying that he's wearing 3 in friendlies, but that's not going to be his squad number. We've got 3 right backs. Obviously, there's a potential for Joe Gomez to move into the middle, but Klavan's still here. Van Dijk and Lovren the first choice, and Joel Matip plays there last night, and yeah, he's Joel Matip. So yeah, we've got 4 centre halves. Do we need 5? There's no talk there, or I don't think there'd be any sense in Klavan leaving. So if Joe Gomez and Trent are the right backs for the year, Klein's still here. I wouldn't be surprised if Klein moved. So that could get to that number 2. But then Sadio Mane's today took number 10.
Yep.
And I think if you listen to the gutter, it's not the news you would want to hear from Andy Kelly on Fekir. I think that deal's dead. I really do think that deal's dead. I'm taking the manager at his word. I think they've seen something in the medical or whatnot that maybe they would have been happy to renegotiate and took a risk of it. Maybe they got the fee based on appearances, but John Michael Orlas won't budge. So Liverpool like, sound fine, okay. So I think Fekir would have liked to have come in and taken 10, and now that's available. Sadio Mane's got it. So lots of theories. I'm bored. It's the summer. But no,
it's exactly what we want, though, isn't it? We want
talking
that.
about stuff. This,
yeah,
isn't
exactly.
It? Yeah. But no, I think the club have also said if you've got a shirt that's Mane 19, haven't they, that you can get another one, which is dead nice of them. But no, Mane 10, Salah 11, Firmino 9, Keita 8.
Perfect, that, isn't it? Absolutely ideal.
Sound that, innit?
Sound, yeah, it's sound. I got it written down. It is sound. If you want to take Klopp at his word as well, here's exactly what he said. Anyway, he said, "We have everything we need for the next season because I don't think we will do anything more. I'm pretty sure of that." Now, Paul, I did mention it on the gutter, so I would recommend going and listen to that. We're going to say that as many times as we can because we can. But I don't think this is one that's dead. I think, if this is one which is sort of currently it's currently shelved. It's found its place place on a nice IKEA number somewhere in Melwood. And I think Lyon have been playing games, and Liverpool aren't really prepared to get drawn into them. So I think for now, what you're hearing from Liverpool is true. It's not necessarily a lie. I think people are tending to look at it as though it's like they're either lying or they're not. I don't think that's the case at all. I think what you're seeing at the moment is that Liverpool don't think there's a deal there to do, so they're saying there's not a deal there to do. If Lyon want to come back and actually stop playing the games, and all that wants to come and actually be serious about the business, then I think that's when it can get done.
Well, listen, he's had a medical with Liverpool, so Liverpool clearly wanted him. He's gone through all that rigmarole. Liverpool went and agreed a deal, so Liverpool want to play. That's undoubted, but it's got to be on agreeable terms. But obviously Lyon, he's not injured now. He's just been playing in the World Cup final, So Lyon, I'm sure, will be happy to keep him. He's one of their prize assets. I don't know. Maybe Lyon know what Liverpool have found out. And that Lyon feel they've got an asset that they should move on because he's potentially got problems or whatnot. I mean, there's a lot of guessing games going on here. I would like us to get the player because I think he's a good footballer. Yeah. But I'm a fan, and there's the emotion in that, where Liverpool have got to firstly run a business, but also be sensible and don't overpay. They've got a duty to us as fans who pay money into the club to not pay for someone who's a massive risk, and especially the amount of money that it was. So there's risk and reward, and maybe I think in this time that Liverpool are just seeing this as too much of a risk.
Yeah, and looking at the players that we do have, obviously there was the small matter of a football match last night involving Liverpool. I can't actually claim to have watched it, to be honest. I was too busy watching Love Island and that sort of
top pro there, Josh.
But Paul, Senior, you were our man on the spot there anyway. You went to Ewood Park yourself. What did you think of the game?
It was great. First half was a bit, but we got the absolute lads in the second half. So we got
Lazar Markovic.
We got Lazar Markovic. We got Keita, Fabinho, Sturridge, and then Curtis Jones as well, who I thought was excellent. I think he really stood out, and he's one that I'll be keeping a watchful eye on. But let's talk about Naby Keita, because it's really the only person to talk about. He was on another level, and I don't think this will have ever been caught, but there was like a foul off the pitch, and the goalkeeper launches the ball, and it goes over Keita's head, and Keita turns and traps it mid-air, brings it down. It was absolute head spinning coming out of there. I think,
Paul, you got a bit excited over it last night, didn't you?
I did, yeah. It was arousing to watch Keita last night. I mean, watch the highlights if you can get the opportunity to do that. If you didn't see the game, he was unbelievable. He take the ball, carry it, and don't get me wrong, we're playing Blackburn. It won't all be as easy as it was when he started doing bits there last night, but he just put some unbelievable balls through the middle for Sturridge, and Sturridge should have scored more than he did, but Sturridge looked really sharp. That has to be said, and has looked sharp in pre-season, so maybe another option there. But if you really want to take a highlight from that Blackburn game, it's definitely Naby Keita. I knew we were signing a good player, but then you can just, like Van Dijk, the first time he plays for Liverpool, you go, I knew he was good, but bloody hell, he's good. Yeah. Last night was like that and a bit more, if I'm honest. He was really, really exciting. I do
just want to touch on Sturridge, because obviously the interesting quotes came out the other day about how he sees himself being at Liverpool this season, and he sees himself fighting for his place. Do you think there's still a role for him to play? Because I can sort of see it, and like you say, he's been sharp in pre-season. It's probably the sharpest we've seen him since probably the 2014-15 season, to be honest. He's sort of looked back to his old self, albeit in low intensity games. I suppose it's up to him now to prove to Klopp that he can be a reliable option for Liverpool, and that his fitness can hold up for enough for a season for him to be that.
Reliable is the one. I mean, I'd had it with him. I suppose he was, he's one of my favourite players at Liverpool, maybe of all time. He was someone I really, really loved. But there was periods where you become second choice to Firmino, and then you needed him and he wasn't available. And I thought, what's the point in having a backup if he's not fit to be a backup? So when he went to West Brom, I sort of grieved over him and his time at Liverpool, but what I've seen a lot of pre-season so far, and he looks very sharp. He looks in good shape. I'm trying not to be lured back into the Daniel Sturridge love. So listen, if the medical reports and he looks good, and if he is good on the training ground, Klopp's happy with him, keep him around, because I think he'd be able to replace a player at that level for the money you'd get for him and have to spend, and especially if we're done. I wonder whether he'll keep him around. He's very low risk. So you get 15 million for him, but don't have that option if something bad happens. in football now, it's not really worth it. And if it doesn't work, he's out of contract at the end of the season. I think I'm right in saying so. Yeah, shake hands, say goodbye if it doesn't work. But I would have got rid of him 2 weeks ago. But seeing him so far, I'm starting to go, he might be worth keeping around.
Yeah, he's definitely one to keep an eye on in the rest of pre-season. Obviously, Liverpool will be travelling out to America for their pre-season tour. The Anfield Rap are going to be out there as well. John Gibbons, Gareth Roberts, Neil Atkinson and Craig Cannon have all just flown out today. They're going to be out there doing a couple of live shows as well. They'll be in Charlotte, New York and Detroit. You can see all the dates on our website, and if you keep following the Anfield Rap on all the social media channels, you'll be able to see the full coverage of the tour. But that has been Talking Reds. Nice one.